Hello, and welcome to the English Learning Podcast, where we help you improve your English skills with real conversations, practical tips, and fun discussions. I'm your host, Jason.
And I'm Julia. We're so excited to have you here today because we're talking about something that can change the way you speak English, forever activating your fluent English mind.
That's right. A lot of learners ask us, how can I think in English instead of translating in my head? If you've ever struggled with this, then this episode is for you.
Exactly. We'll break down why it happens, how you can stop relying on translation, and give you simple exercises to help you start thinking and speaking naturally in English.
And before we begin, let me ask you, our listeners, do you ever find yourself hesitating before speaking English because you're trying to find the right words in your native language first? If yes, don't worry, you're not alone. We'll show you how to change that.
Yes, and stay with us till the end because we'll share some fun and effective exercises to train your brain to think in English just like native speakers do.
So grab your coffee, tea, or whatever keeps you energized, and let's dive into today's topic, activating your fluent English mind. All right, now that we know why thinking in English is important, let's talk about the biggest challenges that stop English learners from doing it.
Yes, so many learners feel stuck because their brain automatically switches to their native language before they speak in English. And Jason, do you know what the biggest problem is?
Let me guess. Overthinking?
Yes, that's one of the biggest reasons. Many learners overthink before speaking. They try to make every sentence perfect in their head before saying it. But guess what? That slows them down.
Exactly. Imagine you're having a conversation, but before answering, your brain is trying to translate everything. By the time you form the perfect sentence, the moment has passed.
That's so true. And this brings us to the first major blocker: over-reliance on translation. If you always translate in your head, you'll never feel truly fluent. You need to train your brain to think directly in English.
Right. Let's give a quick example. Imagine you see a cup of coffee. Julia, if I ask you, what is this? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I would immediately think coffee because my brain is used to English.
Exactly. But if an English learner first thinks of the word in their native language, then translates it to English, it takes longer. That's why translation is a big barrier.
Yes, and another fluency blocker is fear of making mistakes. Many learners are afraid to speak because they don't want to sound wrong or silly.
Oh, this is a big one. People think, what if I say something wrong? What if someone laughs? But the truth is, making mistakes is a natural part of learning.
Absolutely. Think about how kids learn languages. They make so many mistakes, but they don't care, and that's how they improve.
Yes, and the last major fluency blocker we want to discuss is lack of regular practice. Julia, how often should someone practice thinking in English to see real improvement?
Every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. The more you expose your brain to English, the more natural it will feel.
Exactly. If you only practice English once a week, your brain won't get used to it. But if you think in English every day, even for just 5 minutes, you'll see huge progress.
Yes, so let's summarize the three biggest blockers to thinking in English. 1. Over-reliance on translation. 2. Fear of making mistakes. And 3. Lack of regular practice.
Great! Now that we know what's stopping fluency, it's time to fix it. In the next section, we'll share powerful strategies to train your brain to think directly in English. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now that we know what's stopping you from thinking in English, let's talk about how to fix it. Julia, what's the first step learners should take to train their brain to think in English?
The first step is surrounding yourself with English. Your brain needs constant exposure to English words, sounds, and expressions.
That's right. Think about how we learned our first language. We heard it all the time at home, on TV, from friends. So, if you want to think in English, you need to live in English as much as possible.
Exactly. You can start by listening to English everyday podcasts, YouTube videos, movies, or even songs. And Jason, here's a tip when watching movies. Use English subtitles instead of subtitles in your native language.
That's a great idea. If you read subtitles in your own language, your brain keeps translating. But if you use English subtitles, your brain connects English words to their meaning directly.
Yes. And reading in English also helps. But here's the trick: don't translate every word. If you don't understand something, try to guess the meaning from context.
Exactly. And that leads us to step 2, speak and think in English as much as possible. Julia, what's the best way to practice thinking in English?
One simple way is talking to yourself in English. It might sound funny, but it really works. Describe what you're doing. I'm making coffee. Now I'm adding milk. The coffee smells great. This trains your brain to use English naturally.
I love that. And here's another great trick: name everything around you in English. For example, look around your room and name the objects: lamp, chair, window, book, laptop. This helps your brain think in English without translating.
Yes, and if you want to take it a step further, try thinking in full sentences. Instead of just lamp, say, "This lamp gives bright light. I use it when I read at night." The more you do this, the faster you'll think in English.
That's an awesome exercise. And for those who feel shy about speaking, here's a great method: shadowing. Julia, can you explain what shadowing is?
Of course, shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and repeat after them immediately like a shadow. This helps improve pronunciation fluency and thinking speed.
Yes. Just find an English podcast or video, play a sentence, pause, and repeat it. Or if you're advanced, try repeating while listening.
That's such a powerful method. So let's summarize the 3 steps to train your brain to think in English. 1. Surround yourself with English to speak and think in English daily. And 3. Use shadowing to practice real conversations.
Perfect. Now, in the next part, we'll talk about how to build a strong fluency mindset. Because fluency isn't just about practice, it's about confidence. Stay with us. Welcome back. So far, we've talked about what stops you from thinking in English and how to train your brain. But here's something really important: your mindset.
Yes, many English learners focus only on grammar and vocabulary, but fluency is also about confidence and attitude.
That's right. If you believe English is difficult or that you're not good at it, your brain will block your progress. But if you have a positive mindset, learning will feel much easier.
Exactly. And that's why the first step to building a fluent mindset is replacing negative thoughts with positive ones.
Oh, I love this. Instead of saying, "My English is terrible," say, "I'm improving every day." Instead of thinking, "I'll never be fluent," say, "I'm getting better step by step." Your words shape your confidence.
That's so true. If you always tell yourself that you're bad at English, your brain will believe it. But if you say, "I can do this," you'll feel more motivated.
Yes. And another important mindset shift is embracing mistakes. Julia, do you think native speakers never make mistakes?
Of course not. Even native speakers say the wrong words or forget what they were saying. Mistakes are normal.
Exactly. But many English learners feel embarrassed when they make mistakes. Instead of feeling bad, learn from your mistakes and move on.
Yes, and here's a fun mindset trick. Celebrate small wins. Every time you have a conversation in English, understand a new word, or think in English without translating, celebrate it.
That's a great tip. Learning a language is a journey, and small steps matter. The more you recognize your progress, the more confident you'll feel.
Yes, and here's one more mindset shift. Stop comparing yourself to others. Everyone learns at their own speed. Instead of thinking, that person speaks better than me, think I'm doing my best and I'll improve in my own time.
That's such an important point. Learning English is not a race. Stay consistent, keep a positive attitude, and you'll become fluent.
Yes, so let's summarize the mindset shifts for Fluency 1. Replace negative thoughts with positive ones. 2. Embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. 3. Celebrate small wins. And 4. Stop comparing yourself to others.
That's perfect. Now, in the next part, we'll share some daily exercises to activate your fluent English mind. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now that we've talked about building a strong mindset, let's get practical. In this section, we'll share some fun and effective exercises to activate your fluent English mind.
Yes, learning English doesn't have to be boring. The more you enjoy the process, the faster you'll improve.
Exactly. So let's jump into our first fluency exercise, Fast Thinking Challenge. Julia, how does this one work?
It's really simple. Set a timer for 1 minute and pick a random topic like food, travel, or hobbies. Then speak about that topic in English for the full minute without stopping.
That's a great way to train your brain to think in English. And don't worry about mistakes. Just keep going.
Right. The goal is to push your brain to find words quickly. And if you can't think of a word, just describe it instead of switching to your native language.
I love that. Okay, next exercise, storytelling with a twist. Julia, do you want to explain this one?
Sure. In this exercise, you create a short story in English, but here's the twist: you have to use 3 random words.
Oh, that sounds fun. So, for example, if your 3 words are elephant, pizza, and rain, you might say, "Yesterday I saw an elephant eating pizza in the rain."
Exactly. It forces you to be creative and think in English.
That's a great one. All right, let's move on to mirror talk. Julia, how does this help with fluency?
This is a great solo exercise. Stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself in English for 2 to 3 minutes. Describe how your day went, your plans, or anything you want.
It's like practicing a conversation with yourself. This builds confidence and helps with pronunciation.
Exactly. And speaking of pronunciation, another fun exercise is shadowing. We talked about this before. Listen to a native speaker and repeat after them, trying to match their speed and accent.
Yes, you can do this with podcasts, movies, or YouTube videos. Just play a sentence, pause, and repeat it exactly as you heard it.
It's one of the best exercises to improve fluency.
All right, let's do a quick recap of these fun fluency exercises. 1. Fast Thinking Challenge. Speak on a topic for 1 minute without stopping. 2. Storytelling with a twist. Create a short story using 3 random words. 3. Mirror talk. Talk to yourself in English in front of a mirror. 4. Shadowing. Listen and repeat after a native speaker.
These exercises will help you think in English faster, speak more naturally, and feel more confident.
Absolutely. Now, in our final section, we'll give you a step-by-step action plan to activate your fluent English mind every day. Stay tuned. Wow, we've covered so much in this episode. We talked about the biggest blockers to thinking in English, how to train your brain, how to build a fluent mindset, fun exercises, and now it's time for action.
That's right. Learning about fluency is great, but real progress happens when you take action every day.
Yes. So, here's your challenge. Pick one fluency exercise from today's episode and try it right after this podcast. Whether it's the Fast Thinking Challenge, Mirror Talk, or Shadowing Just Start.
And don't stop there. Make fluency a daily habit. Spend at least 10 minutes every day thinking or speaking in English. Small, consistent steps lead to big results.
Exactly. And if you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode.
And share this with your friends who are learning English. Learning is more fun when you do it together.
Yes. Also, we'd love to hear from you. What's your biggest challenge when thinking in English? Let us know in the comments or send us a message.
All right, that's it for today. Keep practicing, keep thinking in English, and we'll see you in the next episode.